And when it came to the real game, everything you said goes out the window because real-time results happen, right? So the insanity piece, like if I were you, I would literally just like stare at a wall for 2 hours, like before practice or anything. Pick up and be like, I'm shooting everything, right? You know, like because literally what would happen is that he would miss one shot, right, head down, rest turnover, lack of communication on defense. His result ended up translating through his whole body for the rest of the game, right? So that's what would happen with me too. And that's the difference between me and the next level.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back, Ship Across the Border. My name's Max. I'm here with Chris. And today we have on a very special guest that Chris is going to introduce to you guys because he has done extensive research and probably knows what his house number was and everything. So
I don't want to sound like a stalker, but like he has an hour-long podcast that he clearly doesn't remember, apparently, that I watched in its entirety, and I got a bunch of stuff on him. Basically, Meech Bold, a.k.a. Dimitri Tessier, he played 4 years here at Elms College. 4 years. And now he is a current music artist, and he works in his dad's beauty shop on this.
Yes, I manage my now second store. At the time when you heard that, we didn't have a second store.
Okay.
So now I manage a second store.
So basically, we're going to go through his entire life story and figure out how he got where he is today. So basically,
first musician we've had on the podcast,
definitely
too.
first musician we've ever had
I
on
hope
the podcast.
the last. I hope not.
We got a little baby on. But before we get into it, follow us on Instagram at SATB_pod, TikTok at Ship Across the Border. Subscribe, like, send to your grandma, and let's roll.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so basically, in the other podcast, you talked about the beginning of basketball for you and how you hated it because you were bad at it.
Yeah.
Is that it? Well, that was true.
Yes. The first encounter in basketball isn't like in its entirety I grew up in Brockton, so you get the Celtics telecast guaranteed. Like you just get local games, right? So Paul Pierce was like the first time I saw Paul Pierce, I was wowed. And then I remember JJ Redick. Duke always played on CBS. This is also goes into a bigger conversation about like bargaining, telecasts, like because it influences the youth, right? So Duke was huge, so they're gonna be on TV. Sure. So my first two encounters was Paul Pierce and JJ Redick, and then the trifecta was I went to New Jersey. This was before I touched the ball, right? Just my interest. The third time I was in New Jersey, my uncle's house, and the New Jersey Nets were playing the Lakers in the finals.
That's dope.
So Kobe existed, and then when I saw Kobe, I said I gotta pick up this basketball. So that was the initial before I touched the ball. And my brother was there with me. Older brother was there, stride and stride. So he picked it up first, and I was a soccer player at first.
And then in the other podcast too, you said that you were competing with your older brother when you touched the basketball. Did you ever feel like, in other senses, like with your father, something you were competing with your brother, like maybe for attention or in other areas of your life?
Yeah, because he was wild. Like he had, I remember he was 13, went to Macy's, right, and he was always confident. He was mad. It was a little cocky. When he was younger, it was just cockiness. So it was crazy because he had a gap tooth. Like his teeth was mad. Trust me, I always called him Lamborghini doors because he was just like, it went up, right? So I remember he always would get away with things. Like he drove a car. I'm out and I'm out, but who cares? We're grown. We went to Macy's. He took the car keys to be like, yeah, Mom, I'm waiting in the car. And he went into the parking lot, got into the car, which was a van, backed out, did a whole 3-point swing at 13. And my mom and my aunt is about to they're about to have a panic attack. And he got out the car, he parallel park, everything was perfect. It looked like he did it before. He was just so good. Same thing with basketball. So that was those things happened, and then my dad punished him, but he still was just I don't really matter. It didn't faze him. So I remember my dad was really hard on him when he college choices, stuff like that. And I remember always being I wanted that. Looking back at it, it was way better. It was way better because my brother was really good at basketball, had some D3 interests, but my dad was just, really egged on. We're immigrants, Haitians, first generation, you're going to school. And UMass Amherst accepted him. So he's you're going to go.
So he didn't play basketball at the college level?
Not in college.
No.
He was he's to this day, he's just better natural scorer than me. Just naturally. He'll just get up out the bed and score 20. He won't pass the ball though. He does not know how to kick the ball. Facts. But at scoring, he was just so natural. And I remember to this day, even in men's leagues, I'll wear the number 30 jersey he wore in high school. He was just cool, man.
That's dope.
That's dope. So yeah, it was always packed back and forth.
I have a younger brother who's also extremely naturally gifted. I'm extremely not naturally gifted athletically.
Okay. Yep.
My younger brother is extremely not. Anything he picks up, he'll be decent at it right away.
Yes, yes. Because I think naturally when is he a middle child?
Yeah,
or just,
he's a middle child.
There you go. Because like I'm a middle child. I don't like leaning onto it too much, but naturally you have to work from like the outside in.
Yeah.
Being a middle child, because you just kind of like it's kind of like I have experience. The first child is the first experience with the parent, right? So they lean on them more. So that was the thing I didn't see when I was younger. I was just
It's
like,
kind of a weird experience because I am the middle child, but there's 4 of us, and my older brother was my half brother, so he wasn't in the house. So I was also kind of the first child at the same time.
right.
But I want to go through kind of like your high
You're
school.
the big dog to the big dog got home.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like an MMA fighter, and he would kick the shit out of me. But
That's fire. That's tough. Yeah.
I want to go through how your basketball career sort of evolved. So you were terrible at it at the beginning. So why did you stick with it?
The overall experience was one, copy my brother. So like it was just he went to AAU practices and stuff, and I would pull up, it was watching him showcases. And I remember just watching like the way he played and just the environment. I loved it. I just loved the competitiveness of it. So we would play in the driveway all the time. I remember I said my first swear. I said like the F word when we was playing 101 once. Like it almost felt like a bomb blew up. I was just like, and then, I was like, I'm gonna go tell mom, things like that, So it was initially that. And my dad's a very hard worker till this day, like the hardest worker I know. And just being Haitian, you just work hard, right? So I was like, yo, let's just keep doing this. And it led to, I went to a small school, which we'll get to and stuff, but that led to just daily, like every day from 13 years old is when I first started, like when I picked up the ball.
We talk about this a lot too in the podcast, where the first immigrants are usually like just insanely hard workers because you have to work for everything
disgusting.
you have.
Sure.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Like they literally, which is granted, like they didn't have any limitations of technology, now that we're braids of that. So, with millennials and Gen Zs and them before. So like they came in, there's no choice, right? You just had to get your hands dirty. And they hold it. Like I think the endurance is insane. Like my dad's 62, 63 now, and he's like, he goes after it every
So
day.
much less like entitlement as well, because like they feel blessed to even have the opportunity to be here, so they're gonna make the most of it. There's a lot of people just wake up and think they're entitled to all of this success, but don't actually want to put the work in or do what they need to do. And just if you're coming here and you're just blessed to even have the opportunity, it's a completely different mindset. You could probably endure way more just because of this like mental state.
And literally, simple humility.
Yeah.
Humility, literally, you can do anything, right?
So it's my understanding you went to a really small Baptist Catholic school, private school.
Baptist Christian school.
Baptist Christian school.
You said you had 8 kids in the graduating class?
Yep, 7, I believe.
That's smaller than me. That's so small.
No, that's like, that's insane.
Yeah. How many people you graduated with?
Probably 100.
Probably like around 100 too. He went to
Okay, so y'all went to moderate schools.
Mine was-
I went I graduated from a prep boarding school in Ohio.
Okay,
So
okay.
we live in Canada. I live in Toronto, and I went during COVID because basketball shut down and everything.
Okay.
And I set my sights on playing college basketball to Ohio at this like obviously I need to live somewhere, so it was like a boarding school. It was like a small private boarding school, which in the state we were like in the lowest like division based on school sizes.
Okay.
But we were independent, so we played against all the other teams.
Right.
And that was considered a really small school with like probably maybe we had like 85 kids in our graduating class.
Okay.
Chris lived in
Middle of buttfuck nowhere. 600.
Chris lives on a farm.
That's fire. That's
fire.
yeah.
But
so
out the way. Yeah.
So what was it like to enter basketball in that little small school, and how did you end up setting your sights on college basketball?
How do you also have a team?
Yeah, with 8 people.
Okay, so you can play starting 7th grade.
Okay.
Right, so that's when I remember the biggest regret to this day, the rest of my life, was my brother was a senior. We're 5 years apart, so I was in 7th grade, I played 2 games and failed like history, like you know what I mean, and literally didn't make it to second semester. So I missed that window. I remember my first basket was a bounce pass from him. I got to steal a back tip.
That's a dope memory.
Remember that? Yo, fire. And this day I'm like, yeah. I remember giving down. I'm like, yo, what's up? Like we about to go into the moon. Well, like 3 days later, I got just kicked off the team because of history class. So get good grades. And that's where you start. So you can take that, and you just need a roster of basketball. You just need 5. So like we had like 9, 10. And the school dwindled down. By the time I went down, we were on a deep downfall. Like my brother graduated with like 20, for example, right? So it just kept on.
Is there like 80 kids or it's like a K through 12 type of school?
K through 12.
Okay.
Correct.
So there's probably like 200 kids in the actual school.
Overall, like 300. In its prime, when I was there, like 350, right? And that's me being generous. Like I have to say 350. So that's when it was just like it grows like that. So 7th grade, I got kicked off the team, And then 8th grade, I was solid, but my brother's now gone. I remember we sucked. I still have a VHS. Like, I just dribbled right. Like, I didn't have no left. I just literally would just dribble like this. Like, if the basket's there, I was just like this. Like, I was just like trying to get to the basket this way. I had no left. I was very uncoordinated. I was quick and agile because of soccer. So in the 9th grade, I started to like feel a little bit, but we still sucked. And then sophomore year, there was this kid named Mark Chadwick. To this day, I hope he's well. And he was disgusting. Like, he was the best shooter I ever seen. And he made me take it seriously. Because after my 8th grade year, 9th grade year, the coach changed, and his dad became the coach. Mark Chadwick came from another local school that he didn't play at, and he came over here and he came with his dad and his little brother. So it was really dope because the dad was a former Marine, and he was just serious. So that's where basketball, like, a practice became serious, right? From 7th, 8th, 9th grade, it was crappy practices. You're just like, yo, go do this, go do that. The guy was just leaving, you know? But then his father came, he's like, nah, we're doing suicides. And you're like, what is that, you know? What is this, you know? So, and I didn't play AAU or anything like that. I'll just play for fun in the summer, play pickup.
So as you're going through this, what drove you to play college basketball? Because I'm sure most kids in a school that small wouldn't shoot for college basketball.
The seed definitely was planted 7th grade when my brother had the chance to. And our whole wall was Slam magazine. Like, you look behind you, it would just be like Sebastian Telfair, Tim Thomas, LeBron James, KD, Brandon Jennings, Greg Oden, right? It was a whole wall of Slam magazine just during the whole 2000 era. I remember it was on MySpace. OJ Mayo had a MySpace. He's like, yo, hit me up in the DM, I'll answer questions. And then he just like hit him up, asking questions like, yo, I was like, what's your favorite food? And he was like, cheeseburger. We're just like, oh, OJ Mayo. So it was little things like that. The aspiration started coming in. And then literally I would say once he didn't get the chance to go play college basketball, I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, it was the seed. And then sophomore year, I'm telling you, it was like just the switch for me to be like, I believe I can, you know, kind of thing.
From going from such a small school, is that something that you kind of wanted to emulate in your university or in your college experience? Because Elms is a very, very small school, I guess. And so how did you kind of end up here?
I'm telling you right now, this is funny. My set was, I was just, whatever my brother was doing, I loved it, you know? Like, so he went to UMass Amherst, and I remember like, just like, looking around the campus like, yo, like, this was insane to me because I'm coming from a small school. I remember that moment. If I was the number one player in the world, in the country, I'm going to UMass Amherst. Like, I remember just like, I'm going to UMass Amherst. That was my whole set. So my mindset was that, but I haven't grown since. You know what I mean? So in that moment, I'm like, my brother's 5'10", 5'11". I can make do with that. I can make it work. Brandon Jennings was like one of my favorite players at the time. I'm like 6 feet, I can make it work. So that's what it was. Like, I was set big. I set big, and then like reality started kicking in and stuff like that. So like by the time I got, by the sophomore year, I started seeing the realities of it, tried out for Middlesex Magic, Bay State Magic, local programs. Random. I remember Duncan Robinson was at that. It was like young. It was really weird, which is really weird. But I just remember that because I think he also was in our my freshman class. It was just a line. Like, he was just there. Disgusting. But it was like he didn't put the ball on the ground. He could shoot. And I was like, that's where I was like, I got cut. Mike Crotty, great program over there. And he's just like, you know, I remember he asked how old I was. I was like, I'm a sophomore. He's like, you know, he was hoping I was like in 7th grade. Like, the talent level was crazy. So that was a hard slap of reality. That and then basically I didn't make it either.
And then, so did you have any other looks coming out of college or coming out of high school?
For high school, so like,
how'd you make the decision?
Okay, so what I ended up doing, because I didn't make those AAU teams, senior year, I was like desperate. Like, I'm like, yo, I've been sitting on this for 5 years. So I emailed a bunch of coaches, told them to like pull up the games. I remember my coach was very adamant on that for his son too, because we were just a duo. Like, my junior and senior year, we ended up winning 2 straight state titles. And, I just emailed every coach in the area. So UMass Dartmouth. I did Hoop Mountain showcases too. So like Mass Premier Courts, local showcases that just, you know, you do a day or 2 camp, try to see if you could do something. And I didn't really show out too much. Like, I was like more like point guard, sit at the table. You know, I didn't really stand out for my size in the sense of like scoring and stuff like that. But I just emailed a bunch of coaches. UMass Dartmouth, Fitchburg State, Framingham State, not even Elms. Like, I was just aiming just things that were local in Boston. Emmanuel College, Wheelock at the time, Newberry College, right?
Being that you were undersized, and you knew you were undersized at this point, did you bring active attention to like, I have to make up for this in other areas? Like, I understand you're probably a defensive player
Yeah.
for the most part. So did you actively bring attention to that when you were playing?
So in high school, this is the thing that's funny. In high school, I was a bucket. So college is interesting. We'll get into that conversation. And you being here is really important. You hear this. Because high school, I was a bucket, slasher. I could just get to the basket and dime. Like, I would set the table. Mm-hmm. So point guards, like Chris Paul was my favorite NBA player. Like, I just modeled that. You know what I mean? I loved running the team. Because I just loved thinking. I was always in thinking. Like, even just creatively, me making music makes sense. So that was my game. Was like, I'm just going to see what everyone else does, figure it out in real time, and then just maximize that, just do it very well. And then defense is just, I'm short, so like that's how you get on the court, you know what I mean? And when I played soccer, you go up and down endurance, so playing 94 feet was nothing for me, and just doing what the team needed to have, diving on the floor, charges, right?
So how did we end up at Elms?
My senior year was over, and UMass Dartmouth, Coach Baptiste, I remember, was real. Framingham State came to my senior game. I had 30. I was going dummy. I did something like it was ignorant. I remember I did something ignorant, bro. It was like 3-on-1, and I remember I had like a steal, put up on the side, just pulled a 3 in the corner, and just looked right at the coach. Like, I remember that day to this day. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to UMass. I'm going somewhere. 'Cause I just wanted to play college basketball. That was the goal. Like, I would pray for that every day. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to play college basketball. I never cared to be D2, D3, whatever. After sophomore year in college, I was like, let me just play. So I get an email from this guy in Florida, and he talks about a prep school. I'm not really aware of prep schools aside from like ranking recruiting websites, and I would see prep school names, but I just didn't know the value of like prep basketball. And he said he's starting a school called Tampa Bay International Academy in Florida, and he just like, yo, pull up. You know, like we saw your highlight tape. I had this like dusty, nasty highlight tape. And I remember the only reason why I chose that was because I didn't get accepted. I didn't really have good grades. I didn't get accepted for UMass Dartmouth, who literally I went there, was on the campus, played pickup. Coach Baptiste is like, yo, we like your game. Pull up. We would like to just give you a spot. And I was like, all right, bet. Just got to get accepted. Didn't get accepted. Fitchburg and Framingham, I don't know why I didn't. To this day, I'm telling you, I was cooking that championship game, got nothing from them. So everything was just falling flatlined. And I remember I just didn't want to go to JUCO. Like, I just remember that was like, I'm not going JUCO. Like, I've heard nothing but dirty things about JUCO. Like, I just can't do it. You're a different breed if you're in JUCO. So yeah, I went there for prep, and I pulled up off a whim. I don't know, to this day, it was definitely by design of God, because I'm just telling you, like, my dad was
Sometimes
so strict.
That happens.
Bro, it just happens. You know, like, my dad, to this day, I look at my dad like, yo, you was the most strictest man in the world. And the one time I said, let's go to this barely existing prep school in Tampa Bay, Florida, off of a sketchy email and insight, and you said yes to it, you know, I was just like, that's how you know things, like when you like, you know, prayer, working hard, you're destined for it, because it was just a feeling, right? Mm-hmm. So go there for the year, and you're playing with dudes overseas, International Academy, so they got dudes from Australia, France, England, Texas, New York, it was fire, Queens, and they had 3-4 teams, and they were like A, B, C teams, like, you know, high level, right? So I ended up playing there, and the school tanked. But I remember, I'll tell you this, the first day I came, Coach Dean, who was the previous coach, saw my tape, and he's like, hey, you know, like, I like your stuff. You know, it's the first day I moved in on campus at that prep school. And he's like, yo, I like your stuff, pull up. Not even pull up, just, what are you doing? What's your situation? And I was like, I'm at a prep school. He's like, you know you're not going D1, right? And I'm just like, yeah, I guess, you know? And he's just, yo, nonetheless, Elms, we have a winning tradition. I'm now a coach here. Coach Silva left, yada, yada, yada. And I said, okay, I'll think about it. I was like brushing it off. Small Catholic school in Chicopee. Who cares? I don't really care. I'm going for the big leagues, right? I'm at a prep school now. So time goes by, 3-4 months goes by. The power forward on their team, center Kenny Lockett, hits me. He's a 1,000-point scorer. He hits me Twitter, and he's like, yo, Dean told me to double back. What's the word? And I was just like, I'm chilling, man. But we had hit it off on just conversation, talk about life, talk about music. It was cool. So then I'm like, yeah. But I paid no mind to Elm still. The year goes by. We play at showcases left and right. When I'm telling you, I was like in a van going from Florida, drive up to New Jersey. Facts. Like go to Illinois, go to New Jersey, like New York, all day showcase. And you're playing against D1. Like we played against like dudes going to Florida State, Florida, Louisville. It was disgusting. Like I'm literally guarding a point guard 6'3". I'm just like, I got to figure this out, you know? So it was beautiful. It was amazing, but it was trenches, bro. And I'm telling you, there was one trip we went from Florida to Illinois. to New Jersey, to New York, back down to Florida, like that. And that was just one sequence of a showcase, right? So things
sometimes.
That's what seriously, it's really a lot of work to get to this point. That's why you have to give credit to student athletes. So I come back, and the guy is just a scam artist. He just one time in February, he was just gone.
The Tampa Bay
International Academy, the director.
Be really careful. We're gonna get in. Actually, that's a good topic.
Yeah,
like Row Russell and shit, or
I mean, that's crazy.
shout out that name, maybe edit that. But like, you're thrown into this fucking D1 environment stuff. Did you get completely humbled in that moment, or like again?
Oh, yeah, bro. It's funny because I always was humble, and I think that was my issue. And when after high school, like I wanted to be a point guard and not step on toes. Even though the dudes were nasty, but I saw their flaws. It was weird. Like I would play against them, I'm just like 6'3" guard, 6'8" wing, can't shoot. Stunt short, play him short, right? I was thinking like that. And then when I would do that, I'll have a 6'10" big, could barely protect the rim. Like it was just showed egos and weaknesses for me. So it was humbling. I was always humble. I just didn't assert myself though. And I just didn't assert myself.
So then after that shut down, how did you end up?
Yeah, so I ended up I was humble. Speaking of humbling, my pride and ego went to that Elms College though. What's up with them? So, and I remember I was ignoring Silva, the assistant coach's email, but I was still talking to Kenny. So then I reached out. My dad's like, you need to apply for schools. I come back. I still to this day I didn't tell him the campus went down under. I was just like the year's over. And it's February. He's like, what school ends in February? So I come back, work at my dad's store. And I applied to schools, still didn't get accepted to any. I applied to 5 schools a year out of high school. And then Elms was the only one that accepted me, literally. So my dad's like, you're going. You have no choice. I said, I don't want to go JUCO, so that's perfect,
Match made in heaven.
Yeah, match made in heaven, bro. And yeah, that's how I got to Elms.
You got to be really careful with some of those prep schools. I know in Canada. So in Canada, how basketball works is there's one, I guess, league. And there's different divisions, but it's private schools, public schools, charters, everything plays in one thing. And it's really hard to get recruitment out of those leagues. So now there's a second league that's kind of been made, which is a prep league.
Okay.
And it used to be 8, 9 teams, like Crestwood Prep, or you may not have heard of one of the most famous teams, have so many Division I guys. They're like Elijah Fisher, who was a big name. He was at Texas Tech and then DePaul.
Okay.
They have a bunch of just really big names. There was Bill Crothers.
Yep.
So there's a guy like Kobe Elvis who was I don't know what conference on Dayton, conference first team. There's some really, really good guys. This is years ago. Vaughn Secondary where Nikhil Alexander Walker played and Andrew Wiggins played. There's this circuit of elite teams. Yeah. And it was like that for a while. It was exclusive. You got to be really, really good to play in this league. Otherwise you're stuck playing at your local high school and everyone's fighting for the same, sending out emails. Yep. And then a little after COVID, because gyms shut down, a lot of people just started up their own programs because you can get in sketchy gyms and we're doing a prep. And it's kind of like a money scheme. We're doing a prep school. You have dudes from 8th grade to 12th to grade 13, sometimes even older than that, all doing work on a laptop in the same room exactly like this.
That's what he did.
It's probably exactly like that. You have one tutor helping people of 7 different age groups. And you just play basketball. You play basketball 3 times a day. Yep. And, I mean, there are some schools like that can end up being successful, and then you have one name go big out of that classroom, and then you garner attention, and you get more money, and then you can actually build a real school. And then, so there's programs that have gone in that direction, but a large majority of the other programs kind of fizzle out, and is a lot of money schemes. There are teams. I'm not going to shout out any names because I know some of the coaches. I'm cool with some of the coaches. But they have all their kids living in one Airbnb. Yep. It's it's trenchy. It's super trenchy. It's super trenchy.
When I was there, we had three dorm. It was on a congregation farmland space. In Tampa, it was a Baptist congregation. This Baptist religious thing been chasing me. So literally, I'm on this Baptist congregation, and it was 3 different spaces. And we had 7, 8 people to a space. So it'd be bunk bed.
Yeah,
bunk
it's
bed.
trenchy.
Right? It's trenchy. So I'm damn, careful. Dudes with BO, they smell crazy. Dudes who smoke mad weed. The Frenchies, dudes were overseas too. So we had international guys, non-speaking ones. Yeah. And then they would learn English. We'd be yo, this is Chief Keef, look, we were teaching them. It was hilarious. Yo, you see this guy, Drake,
Such good moments made in those confined areas. But it's definitely, you really got to be careful. When I was choosing where I wanted to go, play, I knew that it would be really difficult to play at a school that has an academic level that matches their athletic level, and I could live at the school, or I'd be able to commute, because where I live, there's not most of the schools are in more rural areas, because that's where the land is.
Yeah.
I know it'd be extremely competitive, and so I was better chance going to the U.S. where there's more options, and I really wanted to make sure that whatever school I was going to had just as even it was like an academic first thing. So I was actually set up to go to college, because even if you you're taking a chance, like you went to Tampa and it worked out for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it worked out for tons of other people.
Yeah.
But there is also a large majority that go waste their money and then don't even end up having the education in order to be able to get into college.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you the percentage because you're right, but let's start telling the truth. Let's tell the truth really too. It was 32 people, right? It was like 32 people on that academy. 3 or 4 of us played college.
Exactly.
And all those dudes was nice. Disgusting.
Exactly. It's just, but it's not even not even a skill thing. It's just but also when you have 32 dudes in one room, and there's coaches like the guys who are not at the top of that are going to get left behind. And then when you don't have an academic fault to fall back on, it just puts you in a tough position.
Yep.
So if you're out there, Canadian, American, from Australia, wherever you're from, and you're looking to come and play prep basketball, wherever, you got to really do your due diligence and make sure that the academic standards, at least you can fall back on, if anything. And you have a place to live, and you know your living conditions ahead of time, and just do your due diligence. Not saying don't take the risk. Obviously, bet on yourself. Obviously, go and put yourself out there in opportunities that will put you, like we talked about in our last episode that hasn't come out yet, that gives you a better positioning to your goals. But definitely do your due diligence, because you don't want to be in a position where you're spending. Who was the one who said there? Someone spent like $80,000. Was it Ian? Said his brother went something and spent $80,000 a year on prep basketball. And like you got to do your due.
It's sickening. I didn't pay like 4 or 5.
Yeah, but
it's lasting.
So I kind of want to go into your college career and then how you started making music, because I understand that kind of happened at the same time.
Yep. College career. If we start at the gate, the entrance experience was just pulling up. They probably still do it. They over recruited, right? They purposely over recruited, which I get it, enrollment. But that was new to me, right? So then you come, and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna be on a team. I'm gonna be on a team." I'm like, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8
That's
guards. I'm like, I start getting confused. So that's how it is. And it was a rude awakening. So pickup changed. Like the moment went from I got a spot because that's what I was told type of thing to, oh wait, this is an open tryout kind of thing every day. So pickup was amazing. That was amazing being part of that competitiveness. This is fall 2013. So going there, it was Dean got fired.
This is Coach Southall. I was about to say, when is Coach Southall? Okay.
So Southall, Dean got fired, and we get told this like 2 weeks before training camp. And then they go on a coach search. Southall gets hired, my guy. Southall gets hired, and he comes in just kind of like, WPI, so he was very like, very just that kind of bag. And then told us just like his MO, he plays deep. When I kid you not, if Dean didn't get fired, I don't make the team. I'm telling you a fact. Like, he had favorites. He had guys coming from Georgia, my man Sir. He had this kid Richie, this kid from Sacramento, Jalen, who was a D1 recruit, had ankle injuries. But, just things fell out. Like, he committed to, like, Sacramento State University and just, I'm telling you. And off of talent, like, I would have chosen them, too, off of talent. You know what I mean? But college is scheme-based. Like, dudes got to understand that. It's scheme-based. Like, but I'm mad that I didn't really pride myself on that when I was here, because I was looking at the talent too much and downplayed myself. So that went into, once we had tryouts, it was free game. But when Southall was talking, my ears perked up because he's like, we play defense. I said, oh, too easy, right? I was like, oh, it's too easy. Like, this is match made in heaven. And we had the tryouts 2-3 days, and he did cuts. And I think I was using logic again, like thinking about the game.
Yeah, it's like he's gonna make the team, but he doesn't make the team. 3 guards here.
The exact same thing happened this year. He was doing the exact same shit. He was like, yo, this guy, because he doesn't, his attitude's not quite there yet, but honestly, he's not doing this. And
like the same thing is like, if you looked at pickup and you looked at, I would probably not have been a top 18. Who was it? How many jerseys is there? 17 jerseys, let's just say. I would not have been a top 17 guy.
Yep.
But you have a lot of people competing for the same positions.
Yep.
And what I bring to the team is shooting, which A, they lacked last year, and B, not a lot of new people brought that. And on top of that, I have a 4.0 GPA. I'm a good kid. I'm making relationships with the coach, and like he can tell I'm a personal person. I'm going to add a positive environment to the team. And there's just so many more aspects that would, I guess, limit my overthinking. Oh, I'm not going to, whatever. It's like I bring so much more value than a lot of other guys in other aspects that they wouldn't even think are important.
Correct. And that's as you could go ahead.
There's multiple guys who are actively got kicked off the team because they had bad situations that we won't go into, but like they were more talented than him.
I'll go into it in my time. But yes,
they were more talented than him for sure, but they just had terrible things outside the court, and you just can't have those people on your team.
Yeah, and it's youth. We're young, right? It's inevitably gonna happen. So I think people try to avoid that course. I'm like, nah, it's just youth. It's life. That's what it is. So that was easy. Like literally, my MO was when we had 2-3 day tryouts. I was like, all right, I know who the scorers were. I knew who the bigs were. And I'm like looking at the point guards. They had a returning point guard, Pierre. Shout out my guy, Pierre. And I was like, and they were older too. Elms was older. So you came in, they had like 2-3 guys that are 25.
Elms was still older. We have
2 or 3 guys that are 25.
2 guys 26.
Okay, there you go. Let's see. Okay, that's interesting. They took from Silva's playbook because Silva was like that. He'll go on the street like, hey, you, like in Hartford. I'm just like, this is OD. So dudes were like that, which was dope. But they needed, my comments was like, yo, you have the space for one small guard, unless y'all both like that. Like every college team, you're not gonna. I remember the best thing I saw. Steve Bannon, I think his name, coach from Babson, when I was coaching at Elms. I was on my coaching bag and just like, talking to other coaches. He's like, yeah, to win, you need height. If you're small, you better be special. So I was like, okay. So like that was reassuring after college. But at the time, I was like, yeah, there's only room for one short guy. And it was like me and this other guy, Richie. Still talk to him to this day, good dude. But he was more talented at scoring. But I was like, I wasn't here for that. Southall loved that. I was like, oh, you here to like really fight, scrap, and win. Right, whereas Richie was trying to get some buckets, so just played it out.
For sure, that's how it is.
That's the beginning of everything.
You really got to just find, and we talk about this on the podcast all the time. It's like not everything you got to do has to be super sexy.
Nope.
Tween step backs. Nope. Like you really can just find your niche and double down on what you're good at, and if you get good enough at that, there will be a spot for you somewhere.
Yep.
Because you want to be in a fight where there's like the least amount of people, and then you just like outlive them. It's just you can't be fighting in a fight with so many other people. It just gives you a chance to way less.
There's something I'm curious about because my first year was last year at Medaille. We both went to a school in Buffalo, New York. It shut down. That's how we ended up here at Elms.
Crazy.
And I played basketball there for the first year, and then I quit the team after that year, and then just started focusing on the podcast. But the first year I got there, I kind of had this moment of realization at the end of the season where I had set my sights on college basketball, and that was like all I wanted for years. And then I did it, and then I kind of had this like clarity moment where I was like, well, shit, I just had this goal that I achieved, and then you have this like leftover aftertaste in your mouth. It's like, I don't really know what to do now. Like I'm at this level. I did the thing. It's like, do I really want to keep going? Because I didn't set a goal after college basketball. I just had to get there. And then it was like, okay, it's just open now. I'm wondering if you had an experience like that or not.
In the earlier stages of like leaving, no. I was going to die for it. I'm like, bro, I came too far, especially that prep school experience. I said, the worst thing could happen. I'm not going nowhere. Junior year, I had a huge moment in the second semester, second half. And I like broke down in the. It was like we were struggling. No, we had a solid year that year. But I remember the guards. I just didn't trust our guards' defense. Like I was just like, yo, I should be playing. Right, a little ego trip. And Southall was just really mad about the guard play for like the streak that we went down on this hole. And I cried. Like I remember he left, and I was just like, everyone left, and I just stayed in that locker room. Yeah, it was one of those. It was the one only cried twice in my college career. That day and senior day. Because if we won, we would have made the playoffs, and I fouled out. I was pissed, and I was like, that was one of the moments I started playing actually like good. So like, yeah, it was that moment was that's the only time I was like, I gotta quit. Like I'm about to quit. I called my mom. My mom was like, she's always gonna be that. Don't ever call a mom because they're gonna just be on your side
for sure. And that's the worst. The worst thing I possibly do about basketball is call my mom and ask for advice. Bro, and she say some shit to make me 10 times more mad.
Bro, even with life too. Like even with life in terms of moments where you have to be a man. Right, that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
shout out my mom, by the way.
I love my mom. This is a mom,
good intentions. It's
loving mom podcast. But that was like she was like, yeah, I want you to be well and not crying. So just stop. I look back, oh, that's what she meant. But at the time, I'm like, looking at the phone, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? At the same time, call my brother. My brother he came to the games, always showed support those 4 years, and he was just like, hey man, you worked hard to get there. Why leave now? Work your way out. You worked your way on the team in the beginning 2 years ago. Why not? Type of thing. So that was it. After that, I was like, nah. I was like, out there.
So yeah, I kind of want to go through the summarization of your entire college basketball career.
Oh yeah,
and then we're going to come back to the music part.
Easy. Yeah, freshman year, it was simply made the team, and I was hungry. I was like, yeah, let's get it. I'm a dog. And I was just I had bright eyes. Like I was ready. Got beat out by 2 guards in preseason. And then I played the 10-minute game back in the preseason, the halftime game. Like, all right, y'all little bums. Like, okay. So I played that. And then when the season came, the starting point guard got hurt. We went to UMass Dartmouth. First game, he got hurt. Had a concussion. Done. So now I'm third on the PG chart, depth chart. Ant King, Child Ant, starts. Was cold, very shifty. Starts the second game. But I'm locked in. I don't really care. He starts. Anna Maria, we're down. He's just not, Southall's just not liking the movement because Ant is a ball-dominant guard. And we had Jerry, the greatest basketball player I've ever seen.
He's on. Who just talked about them? Coach P just talked about him, I think.
Oh, okay, so you talked to P?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, you talked to Southall yet?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm curious about a lot. Okay, let's just say, yes, so Jerry, disgusting scorer. Mush, great shooter. And Zeke, great slasher. And Kenny was just dominant in the post. But Ant always just had the ball. Like, he wouldn't move it. So Southall wasn't jacking it. We're down by 20. Puts me in the game with 8 minutes left. I played the first game 2 minutes. Second game, he puts me with 8 minutes left. And I just turned the tide. I'm just pressing full court, causing havoc, causing turnovers, diamond. We're beginning the ball move, extra swing, right? Things just opened up. We're down by 7. You know what I mean? I remember that, and that was it. He was like, all right, I like this guy.
That's the thing about defense is if you're a shooter, with him specifically, and you get put in and you miss 2 shots, you're screwed. But if you have defense, you can get in and you can just, there's no ups and downs or ifs about it. You can just play defense for 8 minutes and stay on the court.
Right.
I have a crazy full circle story.
Okay.
So after the season, I went into Coach Southall's office. I'm like, because I didn't.
This is your first year here, right?
Yeah. So I basically redshirted. I got a jersey, but it wasn't written on a stat sheet type of guy at our previous school as a freshman.
Yep.
Coming off an injury, and then came.
What was the injury?
Fractured my shin, my tibia.
Okay.
Knee, yeah, blew up my knee completely.
Oof.
So school shuts down. Coach Southall reaches out to me. Come here. Obviously, go through the first eye-opening. Everybody's here, whatever, up and down year. Didn't shoot the ball really as I would have liked to. I'm a shooter. Mm-hmm. And didn't shoot the ball as well as I've liked to, I guess, in practice consistently enough to really make an impact and get on the court in valuable minutes.
Yep.
So only checked into probably 9 games this year. But I spent a lot of time working out with Coach Southall and made a very good relationship with him.
Yep.
Just before practice, after practice,
Good.
put in extra work, and he invested in me and sees potential in me going forward, which is reassuring.
That sounds familiar.
So after the season, I talked to him, and I'm like, hey, Coach, I want to contribute next year. And he's like, what does contributing mean? And I said, I want to play. We made a goal of at least 10 minutes a game consistently and be top 5 in percentages and makes in the GNAC from 3. Cool. And we're just talking about how a success story for our team, a max success story of going from not scoring or not playing at all to playing valuable minutes would be reassuring to other guys that if you work hard and stuff, then they can help them see the light at the end of the tunnel and say it'd be good for our program. And he gave me a story about how one of his first years, he had a small guard who didn't play, and then they put him in at the end of a game, and they loved his full court.
That's fucking crazy.
He just full court press the whole game.
Yep.
And he started after that. He went from not playing at all, then he played garbage time, and then
Overnight.
after that, overnight, and then he started after that. And that's a very cool,
That's
full
hilarious.
circle moment.
I'm like,
Full circle
small
moment.
guard. I'm like, I was like, wait.
Crazy full circle moment.
That's beautiful. Yeah, this is the mind of that small guard losing his damn mind on that game. Because I was just like, let's go. Yeah, that's really good to hear. And we at some point we'll you could touch on that too, and at a later part. But yeah, after that started the next game against Keene State, and they're Keene State's like that. To this day,
like that.
To this day,
Like the Elite Eight every year.
every year, filthy. And that's when Ryan Kane was first there. So they started their run again. It was nasty. And I started. He's like, you're starting. But there's always one moment that can define your career. And this is with life too. And this is why you get to an ultimatum. So he comes, he says, you're starting. And then I'm ready for it. But in my head, I'm like, I'm about to go crazy. I'm not really thinking wisely, which is the point. You're a freshman. You're supposed to, that's a good thing. But the special people definitely stand out. In a moment when he was talking, he's like, yeah, you're gonna run the team. You're gonna start. He just gave me orders. right? So early Southall.
He said he was on some bullshit early. He said he was on the podcast. He said
Okay.
He was very dictatorial.
Man, that man was order. Like, yo, you're gonna bring the ball up and pass it. You know?
3 steps backwards.
Bro. And there's other dudes he couldn't say nothing to. You know what I mean?
I can't even imagine Southall doing this now because he's just so.
Oh yeah, he's going. I'll be tight. I'll be looking at him like, yo, they be getting those shots off. Like, I'll be when I came to the game the last 2-3 years because I've talked to the career and development class since this encounter, and I'll see. I'm like, yo, y'all get to pull that? Like I wish I could
pull a step back,
bro.
Deep 2 in the corner for 3 people from behind the backboard.
What? Like we had a guy.
That bitch too.
I'm telling you, and some dudes are airing it. Like y'all, like that's the thing that got me tired. Like dudes is airballing it and like with privilege. I'm like, bro, we had to shoot. Like our life depended on
bar. Airballing with privilege,
bro. Like you coming back like, yo, like don't worry, bro.
bar.
Like I'm looking at the game because I've watched the team the last 3 years. It takes one game to just know what the team's about, right? And you just see dudes miss like, yo, next play, yo. Like that play's over. Like that play comes down. I at least saw it last game. There was a play like that. Like a missed shot came down. That's a 3. Like just like that, like just like that,
That's a 6-point
bro.
swing.
That's not a game. So, and that's the difference between a first seed and a last seed is that you don't let that happen, right? So that was it. And he was just like, "Yeah, you're gonna come up. You're the 5th option." And I'm like, looking at I'm like, "Whoa!" I'm like the last person to really shoot. And in theory, as a point guard, I was thinking that way, anyways. But to hear it was different, you know. So after that, I ain't gonna lie, like that literally tainted me. That statement, like I struggled with it. Like for the rest of my career, like the rest of my 4-year career, even though he was just kind of like, I know what he meant, you know, but at the time it was early for him and the wording was just, it didn't go through.
It was
right?
his first head coaching job, right? I think.
First head coaching job. That was his first win.
Yeah.
Like, right? That was a blessing. I'm like, yo, to this day, I'm like, yeah, I got that. Like, yo, I led you to your first win as a point guard.
Wait,
Second
at
point
Keene
guard.
State?
At Keene. Yeah, and I think we only played him one more time after that. We only beat them
That's
once.
insane.
I'm like,
dope.
we're the only one. I'm like, that's the only time we beat in Keene.
That's dope.
So I was like, it's dope. It's a dope little moment. And from there on out, I struggled. That year, Andre French. So Andre French didn't play first half, but he was that guy. Second semester, he's coming in. So I kind of already superseded the role to him before he even stepped on the court. You know, I kind of was just like, yo, this is French. I got to chill. Because most of his teammates were on the team like, yo, French is like that. French is like that. And he was cold. He wasn't the dudes were saying he wasn't the same as he was before the year before. But rest of the second semester, I kind of went back in and out of the lineup, played with him, and then didn't really get to hold it steady. Tournament comes, I don't play. Like freshman year's over. But I'm geeked. I'm like, yo, the seniors gave me some great confidence. Like, you see French, that's gonna be you. You know, 'cause he was the same height as me, but he was a dog. He had a barcode tat on his hand.
I think Coach P brought him up as like the top 4 players he's ever coached.
He said
He's a Hall of Famer now.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, French is a Hall of Famer now. When I came, let me just say he was the washed version, right? Like, because when I was there, I could see what they were talking about. Like, he was just,
yeah.
he was
What injury? He was injured?
he had a post-grad, like, waiver thingy going on. Like, he had an injury his sophomore year, broke his foot. So he had that extra semester, so he just saved it for the second semester. That was it. So that was that experience. Freshman year. Sophomore year, I'm like, all right, time to start. Like, I'm getting that. French is gone. I'm geeked. Best summer I ever had, workout-wise. It was over. I was like, let's do it. He brought, the thing I was mad about, he got JUCO recruits. And we had like 9-10 freshmen in my class. My class, I'm telling you, to this day was one of the best classes. I don't care what anybody says. Like, some dudes quit, but like that was talent. Like, like Connie came out 1,000-point scorer, but I played with 4 of those guys. So freshman year, I played with French and Jerry. I played with French, Jerry, Kenny, and Connie and Simon. So all those guys are 1,000-point scorers. So I saw that. So sophomore year, I'm geeked, but he brought in some JUCO guards. So I was pissed. And I remembered we played in the preseason game. I dropped like 10 in like 3 minutes. I remember that's literally how I got my name Meech. Like, I literally got my nickname Meech from that. Like, Meech came from here. So like sophomore year, I went crazy. They're like, yo, Big Meech. Because like the Big Meech Larry Hoover thing. They're like, Big Meech. And I remember the locker room was like, yo, Meech is like that. Like, he really, it's up. So I'm just like, yeah, I got this spot on lock. You know? So this whole season, I dominated. Our big Kadar I was geeked, so I ran into his knee with my head and got a concussion. Damn. So that stunted the whole sophomore year. It was done. Yeah. It was from there on out. I was playing get back. When I came back, I had one practice, and Southall trusted me and wrote down in college. He's like, "You're good," I'm just like, yo, I felt like it was imposter syndrome, you know, because I'm like, I didn't really earn it, and I could feel the team like hating on me. But I'm like, in the beginning, I earned it, but I just, you know, in the moment, you're caught in the heat of the moment. So
You can kind of relate to that coming back from injury.
So I sat out. I got hurt in the summer, and I got on crutches for like 2 months, and then speaking of stuff, I think he just walked in the office.
My guy.
Talk to him after.
No, it's RJ.
Oh, he did.
What's up, RJ? So where was I?
Yeah, you came back.
So I came back.
Yep.
And I came back probably like 4 days before our first scrimmage.
Yep.
And didn't give myself any time to eat. Like, this is also like, I mean, like 4 days of like, I just touched a basketball for the first time in 3 months, 4 days ago.
Yep.
And so just hopped right into the first practice. We did this transition drill, like, you know, the build up transition drill, like
you start
2-on-1, 3-on-2.
Yep.
And I think I was a 3 and I was running on the wing, and I literally tripped over my own foot because like I literally haven't done anything in 3-4 months, and now I just hopped into a college basketball practice as a freshman and kind of just fell on my ass and just playing catch up ever since.
Yep.
So then junior year, how did that pan out?
Junior year, I was still in limbo. I also had like a really rough relationship on campus my sophomore year. I was also an RA. I became an RA. So there was like more duty, things like that.
I'm RA next year as well.
Okay, actually. Congrats, man. Yeah, man. Trust me, it's a privilege. It was lit.
For sure.
So yeah, I carried that, and then junior year, I wasn't really. I worked hard that summer, but I don't know. I wasn't really there either because of my relationship. So because sophomore year carried over that energy, carried over into junior year. So I worked hard and did all that, but my mind wasn't there. So I went from not starting in the lineup this down to third.
I think what we could do is let it run for like 10, 15 more minutes, and then switch your phone into it. Because we can keep going for like another hour. I don't have another hour of battery. What percent are you on? Okay, we'll switch your phone in a little bit. I want to get down to 10.
Yeah. But junior year, yeah, man. It was, I came out the gate already versus sophomore year where I was like, I'm going to start. I got the position and everything. Before the concussion, junior year was the opposite. Like I was playing, like he kind of I was set back. So I was playing from behind, didn't start in the whole year. I had a lot of things happen. I had like an ethnic minority grant for an NCAA. So like I left like half of the season. Like I left for the season for like 3-4 days. So like I felt like I wasn't really on the team that year. It was like weird. I was like, dang, like South Hall was really pushing me to be, it's like, yeah, man, go be successful in life. I'm like, man, shut up. Like I want to play basketball and you want me to be good at life. Like it was opportunities in real life, things that boosted my resume in like real life, which was a blessing in disguise. But in the moment, like I'm just trying to be like Jerry. Like I'm just trying to get buckets, you know? So that was junior year. Literally, it was just a waste. I was in my head the whole time. Relationship was bad. And my performance on the court wasn't good. I was a shell of myself.
Did that motivate you to come in senior year and play even harder?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't playing. I broke my relationship. I was like, yeah, let's blow it all up, right? You know, I was just like, yo, let's blow it all up. Because I played the most my senior year. And senior year, I was mature. I just felt mature, right? So I broke up and I said, look at me, make a decision in my life, you know? And I worked to the career development, got the internship. So I had like college set afterwards, had a job. So I was like, yeah, I got nothing to lose in a sense of just playing. You know, but I aimed the bar very low. Like that's why my numbers really reflect it. Because I just was like, just be on the court and make sure things don't go bad. You know, when things go bad, control it. Like that's all I cared about. So the whole senior year, I played. Moments when my body happened a little bit. Like I like just working out a lot. I remember that year I worked very hard. Like I was locked in, bro. Like we ran 4 or 5 miles a day. I was always a hard worker. Yeah. It was just showing up. So during the season, the last 3 games was probably like my favorite ever. Like the last 3 games I played, literally, because I was just like, yeah, F it. Like I remember my guy, my boy Simon, he was from Oklahoma. He's just like, man, we ain't gonna shoot the damn ball. I'm just like, all right, you know, I'm gonna put it thing. So it was fun. The last 3 games, senior year was fun, man. Like senior year was my favorite with the bond that I had with Connie, Triff, Simon, our 4 seniors. Yeah, we sucked though. That was our worst year. Like we win like 4 games. Like I think to this day that stench of like we started this spring of honestly, I feel like we started this spring of like what's been happening at Elms. But we like kicked some dudes off the team. We had some like, you know, like I was like a captain sophomore year. Like there was things like there was positioning. That sophomore year was like that make and break point for the rest of my career. So senior year was just like keeping the float steady. Freshmen came in. New era too. You know what I mean? Like you gotta understand, like I came in, I don't care if I'm dating myself because I feel young, but I'm like, bro, Instagram just happened, you know, when I first came. So by the time we're leaving, dudes got Vine. And you're like, you know, the tendencies are different for the freshmen. So yeah, but it was a blessing just seeing the guys, Jerry, Simon, Connie, Triff, Chris Sears. I could name him for days. Tim Putnam. It was beautiful, bro.
Did you play with TC at all, or that was just when you were coaching?
No, that was when I was coaching.
Okay. So
Yeah,
talk
that's what I was
a little
coaching.
bit about that and how you got into the
Senior year, like I always was focused, locked in, and always been to the hip of Southall. So like it was kind of easy. Like I watch film with him, stuff like that. So he gave me like I was always thinking like that. Southall to this day has made me understand basketball. Right, and Southall's like when it comes to X and O's, I have not to this day met a better basketball coach, basketball person. Mind, he understands X and O's like nobody's business. WPI definitely do that. So that just was like I came around, I looked at him, I said, "Yo, I want to do this. Like I want to coach, I want to help." So I coached those 2 years. I think when TC came, it was my last. No, I dipped by the time TC came. So he came during COVID, so I was gone by then. But those 2 years was very interesting. So yeah, it was different. I knew I was capable though, and I was coming from work in Connecticut, come here and be practicing, did extra work with Misha. I did a lot of player development. I was focused a lot on player development, and I was happy because like Southall, man in the ship, P would kind of move the needle in real-time games. But in practice, it was literally me and Kenny, who ended up the main guy that got me to Elms in the beginning. He coached too. He was living in Agawam. Mm-hmm. And we really was like, yo, we just love the game. Like, we love the in and outs. We love the workouts. We know how it was. We was players. We understand things to make you better. So we did a lot of player development stuff those 2-3 years.
I wish we don't really have like Southall has been doing a lot of the player development. Obviously now he's the AD and head coach.
Yeah, he don't got time for that.
Time.
Yeah, back then he had too much time. Like we had my senior year, like I'm telling you, Simon, we would shoot in the morning. We'd do like hour and a half workouts every day. Like I would just be by his side. Me, him, Southall, we just shoot. Right? Like he had all the time. So that's why I'm like that AD joint made him softer a little bit. I tell him that all the time.
So why'd you end up leaving that coaching situation?
The PG answer is I would say differences in the sense of just the culture of the team. Like I think the culture of the team, I wanted to really see a little bit more of my hand in it. Mm-hmm. So I wanted dudes to really work hard, really take it seriously, do the extra work off the court, be professionals. Like literally, college student athlete is either you're a professional. Yeah. You got to be a professional at the sport, and just accept that. Like when it's done, it's done. You know what I mean? But no one. I'm telling you, the greatest basketball player I've seen in my life is Jerry. Like I'm telling you, no one can tell me otherwise. And he didn't play pro, right? You know what I mean? He plays like semi-pro in Springfield, and he's still getting buckets. Like he's still disgusting, you know. But the talent, like that's something like, no, man, take this 4-year gap. And dudes didn't have that, right? So you come in, there was privilege, taking bad shots, not listening to the schemes, not being ready, scouting report. Yeah, that's it. And once I seen that, I said, this is a waste of my time.
Mm-hmm. You know? Now, so after that, now you enter the corporate world.
Mm-hmm. And I was balancing it at the time too.
So what are you doing now with your grown man regular?
Before we do that, I was going to close the loop, and I was going to say, how would you just like summarize how you feel about your basketball career in its entirety?
Basketball career in its entirety, I'm definitely a blueprint of if you want to know how to play, get playing time in college, yes. But if you want like true success and like results and fruit, you know, seeing numbers, accolades, stuff like that, don't have my mindset. You know what I mean? In the sense of that, like I could get you to point A, but point B, I struggled. Yeah. Which was the confidence piece, which was putting the work and the studying to real life translation, like do it in a real game. So like, for example, if you're a shooter, right? I remember when I coached, when I played, the best shooter was like always usually the best players. Like we didn't really have a designated shooter, but like Triff, for example, was a really good shooter, but he had crazy athleticism. But we didn't really have like a designated shooter. When I coached, we did. It was like Ramos. Like Ramos was like a designated, like you're just on the court to shoot, right? But the problem was he showed it like that. Like he was on the court and he played like all he was meant to be was a shooter. So
I feel like I struggle with that a little bit.
Bro, I'm telling you, the best thing to being a shooter is not taking the first shot. Yeah, I'm gonna just let silence teach you that, right? Like I'm telling you, I'll look at Ramos. I said, all you have to do is play good defense and take the right shot at the right time.
No, one thing about me, which also makes me like valuable, and I guess stood out in the tryouts, is I don't take bad shots. Mm-hmm. Like I'm very, very patient. I'm very good at shot hunting and moving into open space. But I'm very, very. I don't shoot bad shots. Like I'm very. stick to my strengths, and Chris can definitely attest
I was gonna say
that.
Southall has actively said that he has the best shot selection on the team. Like he's the only one
That's
that
beautiful.
won't
Yeah,
chuck.
like, I don't chuck. I mean, there are occasions where I'll get hot and runs, and I'll take a pull up.
As you should.
I'll take a transition.
If you didn't, what's the point of you playing?
On a 2-on-1, but
Yep.
like that's like I
As you
don't
should.
take bad shots. I don't take really contested shots off the. I really take 1 to 2 dribbles. I play very, very simply. I say my comp is JJ Redick, but like I don't really. I don't like. I just play very simply. I just really stick to my strengths.
Okay, so see, even hearing that, I think that was a thing. Like that translation piece, I seen.
But then again, I'm also so in the moments where I did get opportunities, I shot, let's say, 3 shots in like garbage time this year.
Yep.
3 and I didn't make any, and so I'm definitely also working on the translating because I can shoot 75-80% in a workout. And in open gym, I track my percentages. I'm probably shooting like 43% this month.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on translating, doing things in practicing that are challenging my ability to stay balanced, locate the rim, shoot the ball
Right.
faster, everything in order to be able to translate everything that I work on
So,
into the real game.
you know what's funny? I'll say this. The difference that will get you there, because that's all amazing, there's the insanity piece. So that's what I missed. Like, I was insane to one's perspective. So if I'm you as a shooter, Ramos, the issue that I had with him was that he would take the first shot. His shot selection was bad. He was a great shooter. Like, he would ice. Like, he would light up in practice, scrimmages. Ooh, disgusting. And when it came to the real game, everything you said goes out the window because real-time results happen,
Exactly.
right? So the insanity piece, like if I were you, I would literally just like stare at a wall for 2 hours, like before practice or anything. Pick up and be like, I'm shooting everything, right? You know, like because literally what would happen is that he would miss one shot, right, head down, rest turnover, lack of communication on defense. His result ended up translating through his whole body for the rest of the game, right? So that's what would happen with me too, and that's the difference between me and the next level, right? From you breaking the record. What year are you in?
I'm a sophomore.
Bro, I'm looking at the 3-point record, like, you know, right there, and that's the number, right? Like, no, seriously, you have to aim like that. That's what I didn't do, right? I said I just want to play college basketball, be there, get playing time. Thank
It's
you.
definitely applicable to you.
Yeah, no, I'm fucking
Please,
insane. I'm insane.
no, I'm telling you, if you're insane and if you hide it, Southall is funny because he's not gonna like pull it out of you.
Yeah.
He's gonna treat you as you are.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right. So when like we had Simon come in, he was a JUCO transfer that had like 4 points a game, and it was like Idaho JUCO, they're like elite, you know. So like, and he was my height, you know, or like an inch taller, and he came and he said, "Yeah, I want to score 1,000," just like that. He looked at Southall, what's your goal? I want to score 1,000 in 2 years. I said, what the, you know. He did.
No, so that's my thing is I want to be top 5, which is a
Break the
extremely
record.
Big jump is
Break the record. Just break the 3-point record. I'm telling you, don't even waste your time, bro. Like, just break the record, right? That's it, because that's the difference. I haven't seen a shooter since. Like, we had solid shooters, you know, back in the days, but they were like, I'm mad at it, make 5 threes. But no, if you're gonna break the record, you're gonna have a 5 for 13 game. You're gonna have a 2 for 10.
Speaking of, so I'm insane, and so
Lean.
in every single live basketball setting for the last 2 months, I think I track my percentages from 3.
Good.
So I can tell you April 23rd or March 14th, like what I shot on the day.
Yep.
And I'm super, super honest with myself. If I'm standing on the line, I don't count it.
Yep.
If I make one, but someone called something, don't count it.
Yep.
I'm very, very like I've gone days where I've been like 0 for 9.
Yep.
I'm putting that shit down.
Yep.
Those days are arguably more important than the days where you go 5 for 7 or whatever.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that's my attempt to, if I miss a shot, don't hold my head down, because statistically over my last 350 shots, I'm shooting 40 whatever percent.
Right.
So I just got to be able to
And then,
make the next one.
and then if you just throw out numbers, I'm a pretty damn good shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, that's the thing, because I did that a lot too. I overcomplicated assisted turnovers. I remember this point guard at Babson, Sam Bowmiller. Like, I'm telling you, I analyzed these dudes like no tomorrow, because I was just like, I got to be like that. And I'll look at their assist to turnover ratio. And he's like, I remember Southall was like, you need to be like Sam Bowmiller. And Sam Bowmiller was like a lights out shooter, but he ran the team. And he had like 4 or 5 assists and like 1.2 turnovers. Like, he was really efficient. And I said, yes, I do want to do that. But then he's like, all right, go get him, kid. And then you get on the court and I got the ball, and I'm just like, you know, that was the missing piece. Was just like, I got you, I hear it, correct. Like, you come to him, he tells you what you have to do next year. Got you, hear it, correct. Once you get on the court, you have to translate it, right? Sure. Body language, how you talk, you know what I mean? Like, your confidence and your cockiness balance, right? So those things they don't tell you about in college basketball to be successful. Too many dudes are looking at the NBA results, but that's it, you know?
Before you go on to